Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Factory production rises in November as price ease. Demand strengthens. Purchasing managers index. So factories production has risen because of the easing in the price. Even though the inflation rate is high, it is lower when compared to the previous month, and the demand has got strengthened. This is where the data that has been brought out by purchase managers index. Okay, let's move on to the syllabus. How the news is related to examination. Under prelims, it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. And under explanation, India's manufacturing sectors has posted the robust performance because of the, as I said, easing of prices and also strengthening of demand because of the easing of prices, as well as the pickup in the production, which in turn is leading to increased employment as well as the related consumption. And the PMI index value has been set at 56, which is higher than the 55 which is recorded in the previous month, and there was substantial easing of price pressure. This is what the data that has been brought out by the purchase managers index. And under, let's look into the details of this index and methodology for the calculation, and then the significance of this index. First is, it is the economic indicator which is derived after monthly survey of different companies. Secondly, it measures the activities at the purchasing or the input stage itself. But in the case of IIP index, the values will be calculated after the production stage, but here the values will be calculated at the input stage itself. And there are two types of manufacturing, PMI index. One is manufacturing PMI index and another is service PMI index, and it does not capture the informal sector. This is another lacuna index, and then it is being released by S&P Global. And the methodology for calculating the PMI index is, so the PMI is derived from a series of qualitative questions, and the questions are related to 5 key variables, and then the weightage are allocated according to the weights of the variables. Like in the case of 30% of weightage have been given to new orders, 25% have been given to output, 20% have been given to employment related question, and then suppliers delivery times is being given 15%, and stocks of items purchased have been given 10% of values. And what is the significance of PMI index is, it is the leading indicator of economic activity. Secondly, the central bank of many countries will be using the index, and it because to form the policy rates in their own economy. Thirdly, it gives the indication for the corporate earnings, and which in turn will enable the investors to make the decision related to the investment in the economy. Finally, a good reading of the index will act as the indicator for the healthy economic development or growth, and it will act as the attracting feature for the economy. These are all the significance of the PMI, and this data will also be used by government agencies to form their own policies. So this is what the significance it holds. And what are the things which we need to be further aware of is, we should be aware of what is IIP index and what are all the different broad categories where the products have been calculated under the index, and what is the weightage that has been given to the core sector industries. Secondly, we should also be aware of Central Statistical Office. Thirdly, we should be aware of what is GDP, how it has been calculated, and the things that is related to GDP. Fourthly, PLFS, that is the Periodic Labor Force Survey. Who brings over the Periodic Labor Force surveys, and what is the frequency of the release of the survey, and the data that has been calculated under the surveys. So these are all the things that we need to be further aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of